Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Darren Dull with the Edmonson Voice, and we're glad you're joining us for one of two video interviews with our 2018 Edmonson County Judge Executive candidates. We sent the same questions to each candidate in advance, and they graciously accepted our invitation to participate in these videos. Joining me now is Republican incumbent Edmonson County Judge Executive Will Cannon. Will, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just get right to it. As the current Judge Executive seeking re-election, you obviously feel that you're qualified for a second term. Let's talk about what you feel your best accomplishments are so far as Judge Executive.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm running again is because I do love to help people. And when you have a job where you can help people, well, it doesn't get any better than that. And I feel like I'm much more qualified now than I was 4 years ago when I was elected to do this job. And what I mean is that I've been through so many challenging situations in the last 4 years that I've had to figure out and overcome, that I'm much more experienced now in being able to handle those kinds of things than before. Just everything from budget preparation to personnel management to the day-to-day problems that the county faces. The biggest thing is how to best use our resources to provide services to the people that have to have it and deserve it. Our accomplishments have been so many for the last 4 years, and a lot of them seem to be small and some of them seem to be big, but we've got one of the things that I'm really proud of is that our parks and recreation system now is much better than it was 4 years ago. Part of it is finances. We've been able to put a little bit more money into it, and the other part is programming, and we've been able to enhance the programming part of our recreation department. 4 years ago, the situation was so bad that when I came into office, one of the first things I did was take a notepad and go to the parks and start just writing down deficiencies, light out here, basketball goal broken, nets missing, and I had just pages full, and so we started working off deficiencies as we could afford to. One of the serious things was the walking trail at Cleveland was so washed out in places that if anyone attempted to walk around that in the dark, they might break their leg because of the erosion in the trails. And so we've accomplished fixing that. And why is that important? It's because one of the ways that I see Edmonson County growing in economic development and every other way is in keeping people here or having people come here, build homes, buy homes, invest in their properties, build businesses. And so and we've already got probably, in my opinion, the best schools anywhere in South Central Kentucky. So if a person was moving into this area, and they have children, one of the first things they're going to do is look at the school system. And if they look at our school system, they're going to like it. But if they look behind our school system and see a park that's run down, dilapidated, unsafe, they may not want to move here. They may not want to buy property here. And so we worked on that, and that was an accomplishment and everything, when I say we because it's a team effort. I'm part of the team. Without everybody that's involved in the process, it couldn't happen. And so that was one of them. Another thing was our road department. We've got a very good road department. But during a snowstorm, for example, and we had two right out of the chute when I became judge, and our crew spent more time, they tell me, working on the snowplows trucks than they did plowing snow. Now that's a problem because not only does it costs them more time, they're already going hours and hours and hours on end, more than they should have to, but the snow is not being removed as efficiently as we could. So people need to get up and go to work. They can't do it if there's a lot of snow on the road or it's unsafe. And so what about emergencies? We've got to get it off as fast as possible. So we were able to purchase 3 new dump trucks with new snow plows and salt spreaders. And we've been fortunate that we haven't had any severe storms since then, but we are more prepared now for that than ever. And we are able to pay for those trucks. And so just day-to-day operations of the county. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that we have 240 miles or so, give or take a mile or two, of county roads that we have to maintain. Now, 240 miles of roads in a snowstorm is a lot of road, and these guys work hard to get those things clean. Now, one of my favorite things, though, in what we've accomplished is that I feel like our relationship with the veterans community is a lot better than it used to be, and we've done a lot of things. Matter of fact, I'd like to say that if anybody hasn't come and seen the Veterans Wall in the Veterans Courtyard in front of the courthouse, need to take a little time to come down there and look at that wall, and look at some of the names on the wall. Look at the memorial there, because we're very proud of that.
But it's very impressive.
And again, it was a team effort. You know, I didn't do that. The fiscal court didn't do that. But it took the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans. It took the VFW. It took other volunteers. It took some of the construction workers, you know, giving us a good price on getting things done. But most of all, it was Marita Miller who spent her time. I don't know how much time that lady spent on that wall, but I contribute the most of the progress of that wall to her and her alone, because I certainly wouldn't have had time to have done that. And so, but that wall is impressive, and it come by on Memorial Day and observe the Memorial Day service, and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. But I'm very proud of that. And the second part of that is that we are probably the only county that has memorialized roads, county roads, in the names of veterans who have died in action. And I didn't think of that myself. I don't know if he'd want me to name him, but a guy named John Hammonds came to me one day and said, "Hey,
I remember that.
Can you do this? Can this be done?" I said, "I don't know. We're going to find out." And so I spent a lot of time studying that situation and talking to attorneys, talking to the Department of Local Government, looking up Kentucky revised statutes and laws, trying to, you know, figure out, are we going to be violating any kind of law or ordinance or anything by doing this? And nobody said anything about we can't do that. I thought, well, we're going to do it. And so we passed an ordinance, fiscal court passed an ordinance to allow us to do that. Right now we've had 2 ceremonies dedicating roads to fallen veterans. And by the time we're done, there should be a lot more, because there's a lot of names on that memorial out front. And so I hope that others will come forward, family members or magistrates come forward with names of fallen veterans in their areas, and we'll get that done for them as well. I love that. That's a good thing. And so that's my favorite things. I could just go on
Sure.
and on about accomplishments, but those are my favorites.
Well, next question. In your opinion, what's the most important part of the county judge executive's job?
Well, I think I said it just a little while ago. I'm going to say it again. It's helping people. If we can't help people, we need to just stay at home. This job is all about helping people, and that usually comes down to a problem-solving process, gathering information, listening to what they have to say. And sometimes they're a little irate, but if you listen, most of the time you'll find that there is a problem, and we can usually help it or maybe even fix it. And so breaking everything down into the problem-solving process is gathering information and making a plan, putting it together, doing something. And that usually includes fiscal court action sometimes with ordinances or resolutions, or even court orders. And so, and then keeping everybody in the local government working together. You know, in the past, we've had a lot of problems with this office not getting along with this office, and they couldn't communicate or work together. And so if we can all stay in communication with each other, every office, and work together for the good of everyone in our county, and that takes a little effort, because there are, you know, disagreements sometimes about certain things, but I think we've been able to do that very well. And so the answer to that question is easy. It's just to be able to help people.
Next question would be maybe something that's a little bit different from regular issues that you talk about in a campaign or a setting like this. What's something about Will Cannon that most people in Edmonson County don't know or they don't realize?
Yeah. You know, this kind of came up a couple weeks ago at Bear Creek, and I never really had put a lot of thought into it, but we were talking about being a hardworking judge, and you know, most people don't know what I do. My wife doesn't really ever know exactly everything I do, and maybe even the office staff doesn't know everything. And so, you know, I don't like bragging or anything, but I think people need to know how much I put into this and how much I do. And so I kind of just started taking some notes on everything. And My wife, I worked hard as the sheriff. I put a lot of hours in. I worked very hard. We were always short-staffed. And so my wife told me, she said, I see you less now than when you were the sheriff. And I thought about that, and I thought, I don't know how it's possible, but she wouldn't say that if she didn't mean it. And so I just started making just a list of just some of the things that I'm involved in. And I'm going to have to read it because I can't remember it all. I had to write it down. But, Barren River Area Development District. I'm on the executive committee there and on the board of directors. I'm also the treasurer there. Community Action of Southern Kentucky. I'm the vice chairman of Community Action of Southern Kentucky. And that does take up time occasionally because I was the primary person when we started investigating what had gone wrong in community action to lead that effort and find out what went wrong, how to fix it. And so as vice chairman, I was able to do that. And things are turning out much better there. I'm on the Edmonson County Finance Committee, Edmonson County Fiscal Court Finance Committee, along with all the magistrates. And that's just a couple meetings a year, but we go over the budget, and I'll talk more about that later. I'm the chairman of the board at the Extension Office. I attend all of the Extension Council meetings as well. I am the chairman of the board at the local health department down here in Brownsville at the health department. I am a board member at the Barren River Area District Health Department. I am on the Mammoth Cave Biosphere Committee board. We meet quarterly there, and there's a lot of doctors and scientists and things because most people don't know what that is, and I didn't know what it was either. But they talk about mostly karst, cave, things like this. But what really interests me is the Green River because they talk about it too, and the Green River is a big part of Edmonson County. We wouldn't be what we are without it. And the changes that have come into the Green River in the last couple of years are vast, and what they're getting ready to do is take out Lock 5. And so I like going and getting these reports on timelines of when it's going to happen, how it's going to affect our water intake, and all of that. I get these reports there, so I enjoy going to that meeting. That's the Mammoth Cave Biosphere. Now, I'm also a Barren River local elected official board member, which a lot of people have never heard of that, and I hadn't either until I became judge. And that sort of governs the Workforce Investment Opportunities Act and works together for the region to develop workforce development for the region. And so that's an important thing. Although we don't have a lot of industry here, our people work somewhere, and there are a lot of them in industry. And so if I can in some way help, Warren County industry, it's helping Edmonson County, it's because that's where they're working. And I think that's very important. Recreation Commission, I haven't made a lot of those meetings because in the past they've always fell on the same night as the District Board of Health meetings, but since February they've changed the meeting dates so that I can go. And I've made the Recreation Commission meetings, and those are important because they determine how to spend the recreation dollars that come in through the recreation fees that are paid by businesses that do recreation, horse camps and things like that. I've just recently become and voted in to be this month a board member at the Association of the Tennessee Valley Governments, and I usually am able to make a couple of those meetings a year. I'm going to start trying to make more of them since I'm a board member now. I need to try to make them all if I can. And there are 4 meetings a year. But why this is important is because they are associated with the Tennessee Valley Authority, and we're fortunate enough to be one of the 39 counties in Kentucky that are a TVA county. And that may not mean a lot, but it does mean a lot because the TVA, just recently, the legislature passed a bill that the TVA money coming into the state of Kentucky, a portion of it will come back to the TVA counties, $6 million a year divided evenly. What does that mean for Edmonson County? This year, it's $51,000 that will be coming into Edmonson County, and we've got that going into the Industrial Authority Fund, which is the only place that we've got designated as economic development, so it has to go there. We can't put it in Parks and Recreation or Tourism or the General Fund. It's got to go into the Industrial Authority. And so that's $51,000 this year. That's $102,000 next year. It's $153,000 on the third year, and every year after that. Now, that may be a drop in the bucket for maybe Warren County, but for us, that's big money. And we'll be able to use that money through the Industrial Authority to bank it up. We can save it for a number of years and build another spec building or something like that, or improve the industrial authority property so that another factory may come in. So I'm excited about that because we've only got 3 factories in Edmonson County, and one of them is very small. All 3 of them together only employ maybe 130 people. And it would be nice to get a large factory located here. Another thing about the TVA is they've got a lot of economic development programs that we can take advantage of because we're in their district. We're in the valley, they call it. And so if we ever do get, let's say, a bite on someone wanting to come in and build a big factory here, the first call we're going to make is probably to the TVA and say, hey, how can you help us here? And they gave us some presentations this month at the meeting about how they were able to help a factory come into a rural county in Tennessee. And I would love to see them be able to do that for us someday here. And that's always an opportunity. Now, I'm not members of these other boards that I've written down here, but I attend almost every meeting that they have. Most of them are monthly meetings, some of them are quarterly, but the Industrial Authority, a lot of people don't even know that we have an industrial authority, but they are the board that governs our industrial park in Edmonson County. The 3 factories that we have are in their property, and they've got room to grow. I go to every meeting that they have, and I think that the fiscal court and the local government needs to support our industrial authority in every way, because if we're not working together continuously, it's not going to have as much opportunity to grow as it should. And so we're hopeful that maybe we'll get another factory someday and be a part of that. Tourism, that's another big deal in Edmonson County, and it's not been exploited as much in the past as maybe it could have been. Part of it was that there wasn't enough revenue coming in the transient room tax to fully fund the Tourism Commission and what they needed to do to advertise Edmonson County. And so we've took some steps to correct those problems. There were people that weren't paying. There were people that weren't even identified that didn't know they were supposed to be paying. And so we've hired an employee 1 day a week. Originally, that's what it was. And sometimes she didn't work that much, but to identify these places that rent out their rooms and weren't charging this tax and collecting that tax back to the county. And as a result of enforcing that and making the people that are supposed to pay, and I think some of them may have been collecting it and not turning it over to the county. And so we've really got on that pretty hard. And as a result, we have enough money there now where our tourism people can go to the state fair and set up a booth. At one time, they couldn't even do that. Not enough money. They advertise Edmonson County brochures and all different kind of ways, and the businesses that pay in these taxes are the ones that are advertised on these brochures. So it really helps them too. So they should be they should want to pay these taxes. The Planning Commission meets monthly, and they govern subdivision regulations. I try to make every one of those meetings, and that's important because, number one, I needed to learn about how the Planning Commission worked and how subdivision regulations affected our county, and especially in the way that they affect the economic growth of our county. And I think that we can tweak it a little bit here and there to make it a little bit more convenient for builders in Edmonson County and encourage more economic growth in homes. And that's something we talk about almost every meeting. Trail Town, since I've been the judge, they've started the Trail Town initiative, and it's kind of hooked at the hip with tourism, but we want to be designated as a Kentucky Trail Town, which will be advertised, and a lot of people look for trail towns to visit. And so along with all the other initiatives in tourism, this Trail Town thing, and we're almost there. It's a long, hard process, and we've done a lot of work. A lot of different people have been involved in this. I couldn't even sit here and name them all, but there's a huge group of people that are working hard to make this happen. And when we get that designation, that's going to help in our tourism. Conservation District, I try to attend those meetings. I haven't made them all, but I attend all that I can. And that's, of course, that's agriculture. That's one of the biggest economic drivers in Edmonson County is agriculture, and we need to support that every way we can. And the fiscal court is a supporter of the Conservation District. They're in our budget, and we need to make sure that are able to continue to operate because they bring a lot of money into this county and their programs, and we need to keep that going for the farmers. And the next thing is the fire chiefs meeting and the local emergency planning commission. They meet together at the same time, and they meet quarterly. And since we were out of a emergency management director for a while, they haven't met for a little while, but we met this week, and first meeting in a little while. But I like to attend those meetings because we also need to be kind of aware of what's going on in our fire departments, and they're facing a crisis right now with finding volunteers that they need, and finances also. Some of them are a little better on finances than others, but we need to make sure that they stay in business, because if the fire departments aren't up and going, it costs us all more on our insurance and more than the fee that we're paying, I believe. And so we need to make sure that they stay in business, and we do everything we can to keep them going and help them. I attend the water board meetings, especially since the Lock 6 failure. That's very important because that affected the intake, the water intake. And if the county in any way can be of assistance to them, of course we will. And that's very important that they maintain their ability to supply the county with adequate amount of water. When Lock 5 goes out, it may be a crisis for them on a drought. And so that's one thing that we're worried about. The Brownsville City Council meetings, I really feel like that the county and the city governments need to be in lockstep together. We need to be working together in every kind of economic development program and everything we do. And I'd like to see us be able to do a little better with that. I go to a lot of those city council meetings, and I don't always speak, but I just want them to know, we're there. We're concerned and we're with them. I attend a lot of conferences, and I don't attend the ones that I don't think are going to accomplish anything for us, but there are a few that I think are very important. The Judge Executive Association is one of them. I learn all the new updates and things that we need to know in our duties to the public. I go to the Treasurers Conference. Now, I don't have to go to the Treasurers Conference. The finance officer and the treasurer can go to that. But, man, I tell you, I learn a lot in that Treasurers Conference about how things work, and so that's important. I need to know these things. Governor's Local Issues Conference. These are the things that are coming down from the Department of Local Government into the counties, and what we're finding out more and more is that the counties have more and more responsibility. The state has less, which means that it costs more money. But we learn about everything that we need to know from the governor's office in these conferences. And we also have a representative, Isaac Myers, that comes around and visits us, and we continually communicate with them. The CAECO conference, that's our insurance company, and they put on all kinds of programming to help us perform our jobs more efficiently and safely. And so I think that's an important conference that we go to. That one's coming up next month. And then I just got through talking about the Association of the Tennessee Valley Governments, and I haven't been to a lot of those. I've been to a few, and I'm going to start making sure that I attend most of those. I may not be able to go to all of them, but they put out a lot of good information on the TVA programs. I'm in the Lions Club. I'm in the Historical Society, and I probably haven't listed it all, but I stay busy all the time, and I've got my schedule books here. I save them from all 4 years. That's the one I'm working off of now. But you know what? If someone wants to see, this is just the meetings that I'm making. These are full. You can look at any one of these, and they're just full of meetings. And I like the people to know that I'm working for them, that I'm doing what they're paying me to do. I go to a lot of night meetings, a lot of events on weekends. A guy said to me once when I was running for sheriff, and I wasn't real involved with the county government prior to that. I did other things. I was a school bus driver trainer, but I really didn't know exactly how the county government operated. And a guy sitting next to me, he didn't know who I was or that I was running for sheriff. He looked at me and said, "You see all these candidates up here speaking? This is a fire department event." He said, "They wouldn't even be here right now if they didn't want our votes." And initially I thought, you crazy thing, but then I thought about it, and I thought, he's exactly right. I wouldn't be here right now if I wasn't wanting his vote. And I thought, when I get elected, I don't want people to be able to say that about me. And so I go to every event that I can possibly go to, and have ever since I've been sheriff. I've even been more dedicated to doing that since I've been the judge, because I'm not off on a call somewhere or something. And so I've tried to go to these public events every time I can. So not just because I don't want people to say that about me, but it's because I can learn what's going on in my community, in my county, and know more about how people feel and what they want if I'm going and being interactive with them. And so I do that all the time. I think that I've answered that question more than enough. Are you ready to move to the next one?
Moving on. We'll move on now. So, Will, in your opinion, what are the most important issues that face Edmonson County right now?
That's an easy one because we've been dealing with it for about over a year now, and that's Kentucky Wired Project. The state of Kentucky, during the Governor Brashear's administration, decided to put in what they're calling the middle mile of fiber optics into every county in the state of Kentucky. And they're going to hook it to the state offices within those counties so that they can alleviate some of the costs because they won't have to pay the bill. So what's happening now is that they've got contracts, franchise agreements with every city. By law, they have to have a franchise agreement if they're going into the city limits. And so where we're at right now in that is that every city in the state of Kentucky, in every county, have signed an agreement with the Kentucky Wired Project except Brownsville. And so we're still hopeful that Brownsville and the contractor that's putting it in here will come to an agreement and soon, because if every other county in the state has this and we don't, and arguments have been made about, well, it costs so much. It's not costing the county anything. Taxpayers are paying the bill. That's true. But think about it. If we don't get it and everybody else does, you can't count the economic damage that it does to us for the next 5, 10, 20 years. Because it's all about getting it into the rural counties that can't afford it. And that's us. And so if we don't get this, it's going to cost us all in the future. And there's no way to determine how much. That's the most important thing right now. And the answer to number 5 is easy. My plans for these issues, for that issue there, I've done everything I can. We've had public meetings. I've went to the city meetings. I've talked to them. I've invited down. I invited down the director for the Kentucky Wired Project to come and speak to the city council. He came. Another person was supposed to come and never was able to make it. He was continued and canceled, and it just never did happen. But I've done everything I know to do. So it's out of my hands right now. If it was in my hands to do it, they would already be here. They're sitting down there on 31W and 101 waiting to come this way, and they're not turning. They're not making that turn till that franchise agreement signed with the city. And so it's up to the city council right now to make that happen.
Well, it's no secret that the county budget, it's been strapped for a long time, several years. It's been an ongoing issue. It looks like it's going to continue to be an issue. So what are some realistic ways to bring financial growth to Edmonson County?
Well, it's a challenge, as you said. I brought a copy of the budget. I thought maybe you probably never seen the county budget, but there are hundreds of line items within this budget. And so what we do I start building the budget usually about February. I start working on the budget, and the treasurer's a big help in this, and we work together to build this budget. And what we do is we put it in front of the finance committee, which is me and the 6 magistrates, and we go over every line item in this budget and we tweak it. If they feel like we're spending too much on this line item, then we'll work and try to get it to where we think it needs to be. And of course, we compare this year's budget with last year's budget, etc. Trying to stay in line with what we've got. And so the biggest part of that is maintaining what we have. I think if we're very careful how we spend our money and try to make sure that we're not wasting any money, that we do not have to have any tax increases. The economic growth that we're experiencing right now is probably enough, or maybe even more than enough, to take care of inflation. And so that's what we're hoping for. There's a lot of homes going up in Edmonson County right now, and I hope that they will continue to go up. I've heard judges from other counties. I meet with them, talk to them, ask questions. They say that they're not interested in that. They're interested in industry and business. Well, we are too. But our chances of getting industry is not as good as theirs. Our chances of growing businesses are good, but we'll never have the business that they have. But our chances of growing homes and families in Edmonson County are very good. And we need to make it as appealing as we can to them. And in that, they're paying those taxes every year. When you pay your tax bill, they're paying the school tax, library tax, ambulance tax, property tax, which is what we operate on, etc. And so getting that revenue coming in and keeping it coming in enough to service them and provide for inflationary costs is what we need. And so we're working toward that goal, and I think we're managing very well. We've made some mistakes, and we've corrected them. You know, there's been I'm sure everybody's heard about the audit. We had to make some personnel changes, and we've done that. And right now, we are in better shape as far as the books. Now, no money's missing. I want everybody to understand, no money's missing. Nobody took anything. It's all there. It was just accounted for differently than what it should have been. So all of those mistakes have been corrected. We've got personnel in these positions now that are absolutely perfect at what they do. The lady that's the treasurer is the most efficient person I've ever worked with, and she has got things online. We're better shape now than we've ever been. And so a lot of mistakes in the past have been corrected, and that's part of experience. You know, when you make a mistake, and most people that do anything make some, you figure out what it was, why it happened, and how not to do it again. And so we do that. And we found some money that was being spent on things that weren't needed, or telephone lines that weren't used, etc. You know, and we're continually searching and fixing in that area, and we do a pretty good job with that, and we're going to get better.
So if you get reelected, Will, you've covered a lot of this with some earlier questions. You've kind of combined some of your answers, but we can kind of reiterate. I would like for you to reiterate what would be the focus of your office as you move into the next term.
Well, right up front, it's to continue to provide services and improve on them everywhere we can, cost efficiently. We need to keep our roads in safe condition, park and rec as best we can get it. Keep our county facilities up, and proper management on those. Economics, I think we need to continue to try to grow industry every way we can through the Industrial Authority. We need to continue to help agriculture improve. I've said new homes, businesses through tourism, and continue to advertise Edmonson County so that people will buy Edmonson County. And that's about as summary as I can get.
Well, fair enough. As we wrap up, we're basically 2 weeks away from Election Day, November 6th, Tuesday. That's the big day. As you close this interview with us here at the Edmonson Voice, what do you want Edmonson County voters to remember when they go to the polls that day and they see Will Cannon's name on the ballot?
Yeah. Just know that I'm here to serve them. My kids are grown. I'll help them. I'm there for them, but they're grown. They're on their own mostly, and I don't have any other jobs or businesses. This is my life. I serve people. That's what I'm going to continue to do. I've been through the hard times. You know, it wasn't easy. This first 3.5 years, that first year was pretty tough, going through some big challenges right out of the chute. And, I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of tough experiences that I've learned the laws, the rules, the regulations, the duties of the judge executive. I've got it all down pretty good. I'm not going to quit learning. I'm not going to quit making mistakes. I promise you I'll probably keep making some of those, but I'll keep fixing them, keep learning. I'm here for Edmonson County, and if anybody needs to talk to me, my door's always open. I'm not always there. As you can see, I go to meetings, but if I'm not there, the personnel in the office take notes. I talk to everybody on the phone that calls that wants to talk to me. If I can't talk to them because I'm not there, I call them back. I return every call. Matter of fact, I brought this. I want everybody to see. I save all my phone call notes. This is from 2015 up. There's hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000 of them in there. I return every call. And if I don't return it, it's because I've tried several times and couldn't get through. But, that's my life outside of serving God and my family. It's my country and my job. That's what I do.
Folks, that's going to wrap it up with us here today. I'm Darren Dole again for the Edmonson Voice. We appreciate you watching these videos. We're doing our best to keep you informed of the issues. And again, we appreciate our Judge Executive Republican incumbent, Will Cannon, for joining us. Will, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right.